Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever it is. Thanks for listening to Blue Collar Hockey Talk. Scott Beanie here. We got Wes Atkinson. We're going to be talking a lot of Leaf talk, deep Leaf talk. We're 5 games left in the season. I mean, we've got the Jets that are falling. I mean, my girls, every morning they keep getting up going, hey, what's the score? And I keep saying it's like 4-1, 4-1, 5-1. You know what? Leafland, we've got it good right now. Looking forward to this show. Wes, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. I feel like I'm living on cloud nine with the way the Leafs are playing, and it's awesome to watch. And they just seem to be clicking on all cylinders. And I really feel it's one of those things about being a Leaf fan. When they are on their skid, it's like this is not the way you want to go in the playoffs, and you want to have your act together. When they're on a tear like this, I'm like, is this really the way you want to go into the playoffs? When you're overconfident and everything's doing well, you want to go in with a bit of a challenge. I don't know if there's a right way to go into the playoffs.
I don't know. I always say that I'm scared of a hot team going into the playoffs, and we can't say that we're going to be either. We're literally just going to be a team that's resting players,
Yeah.
resting pairings, resting lines. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see, man. I hope that this team is as talented as they are and as hungry as they are. I think that we've got the formula to take on a hot team, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if we're going to have that. I mean, the falling Jets, dude. But anyway,
Yeah.
we'll get to that, I
Yeah.
guess, eh?
I just think it's one of those crazy things when it comes to the playoffs. Like everyone is already talking playoffs. The playoffs are probably 2 weeks away, just because of the way the schedule is shaking out. So we do have some time, and the Leafs only have, like you said, 5 games over 2 weeks. Compared to the way this whole season has gone, that's going to seem like a lot of time between games. And like you said, there could be a lot of guys resting. Where it's like, are those the Leafs or are those the Marlies?
Well, I mean, in all fairness, think about it. Since our last show, the Toronto Maple Leafs have clinched a playoff spot, and I mean, I saw a lot of people posting it, and obviously, it's exciting, it's awesome, it's amazing. But me myself, as far as what my expectations were and what's going to get me excited and really feel like I'm checking boxes off, I expected to be in the playoffs the first day that we entered the season.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Glad that we got that box checked. The division feels like it's pretty solid too. I mean, think about it like you had said there before the show. Like, what about the feeling like remember when we clinched the playoffs the first year with that Marner and Matthews were in it, 2017.
Oh,
Think about the feeling of that, and then compare it to what you're feeling right now.
it's night and day. And the thing is, like, I keep on telling myself, like, don't take this for granted, because we lived through it when the playoffs seemed so far out of reach as Leaf fans. So like you said, this is just a checkbox thing where it's like, yeah, they're a good team. I always expected them to make the playoffs this year, but man, like this year, if there was one or two injuries, like major injuries to major guys on this team, whole different outlook on the season. Like remember a few years ago, well no, it was that year when the Leafs made the playoffs in Matthews and Marner's rookie year, Tampa Bay had tons of injuries to their great guys, and they didn't make the playoffs. And they were one of the favorite. I think the year before they went to the Cup final. Like it's just it's so fleeting sometimes, and you just got to take it. Like we should just be as happy now as we were then that the Leafs are in the playoffs.
Yeah, sorry, I maybe made it sound like I took it for granted. Like, I mean, I'm more thankful of where we are, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
appreciating what we've got. And it's awesome that we clinched, but it's like, all right, like it's all about that first round. Like
Yeah.
it's all about it, And so like maybe it's just I never really was focusing on clinching. I was focusing on like let's get in a good position going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so I guess you could say take it for granted, but I just feel like we're such a damn good team that it's uh, the focus was what it should have been this year, and it's been there. We haven't had to be distracted by injuries. Luckily we were able to stay healthy. Knock on wood, and hopefully it keeps that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's exciting though. Like it's this has been a really great year, and holy goodness, I was thinking that we're going to be playing the Montreal Canadiens a lot first round, because we got 3 games coming up against them, and
Yep. This
you
week.
know,
Yep.
are we going to be playing them in the first round?
I hope so now more than I was before. Like I can't believe what's happening to the Jets. When the Leafs are going into Winnipeg to play those 2 games, which were originally supposed to be 3 games, it was this big thing of like the Jets could take over the top spot in the division from the Leafs if they are able to win these games. The Jets are 14 points back of the Leafs right now. They've lost 6 in a row in regulation. Montreal is only 2 points behind them with a few games to go. Like, this is crazy, man. I was just talking about how do you want to go to the playoffs on a high or a low? You definitely don't want to go into the playoffs like this if you're the Jets.
Oh no, this is disaster written all over it. I mean, the Jets, I don't want to play them in the first round because they play the Leafs hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we match up just a whole lot better against Montreal. And I'd love to see a Toronto-Montreal playoff series. Maybe it would be round 2 then. But I'll tell you, the Jets, I thought that they've got a character team. They've got a great coach. I didn't expect to see them going down the stretch like this. And they've just got they've got problems. They've got problems, and I mean, Montreal's coming to play against the Leafs, where the Leafs are resting players.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that the Leafs are going to be a tough match, and I mean that should hopefully bode well for Winnipeg. But Winnipeg's no lock in third place at all now.
No, I thought, man, a few weeks ago I thought they were locked in second place, and now that's gone. Like, they're not going to catch the Oilers, but with the Jets, I remember when the trade deadline happened, all the pundits were talking about how they just didn't do anything big enough. Like, I know they went out and got Jordy Ben to help with their defense, but so many people were saying they need to go get like a top 4 defenseman and really shore up that blue line. And the thing is too, like, Nick Ehlers is done for the regular season. Like, he'll be back for the playoffs, but that's a big player to lose at all during the regular season for a team like the Jets. Like, he was on a tear. He is one of their best players.
Big time. And you know what else should not get overlooked here? And you said it yourself, the trade deadline. The players in the dressing room, like, there's one thing that management can really do. And I mean, you don't make a trade just for making a trade. Maybe they tried. But the players in the room, if you can show the players as management, look, we bet on you. We think that you have what it takes. Players see when you do it, and they see when you don't. And I mean, I remember Jose Bautista for the Jays. I know I'm talking baseball for a sec, but before they went on their tear, it was like 2013, 2014, I guess it was. And they didn't make a move at the deadline. And he went vocal about it, and maybe that kind of comes into play. Maybe they didn't get the boost. Where you look at Toronto, Dubas said, look, this is it. Like, this is our time. This is what we think you need, and here we go. And didn't take anything away from the dressing room itself, and just added. And look at the results in the last few games here. Yep. Like, I can't help but think that management had a chance to pump the tires of the Jets, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me because we've talked about Marc Bergevin a lot in Montreal, of like, how many chances does he get in Montreal to fix that team? I'm pretty sure Cheveldayoff has been the only GM for this incarnation of the Jets, and so that means he's been there for 10 years. And I know a few years ago they went to the Western Conference Finals, but they really haven't gone like big game hunting during the trade deadline. And Winnipeg is like a small market team where it's hard to get those big free agents to come there, for various reasons. Everyone talks about the weather and taxes and all this air crap. And it's too bad because they are a pretty good team, and I think they're just in a slide at a bad time of year. They're gonna win like 2 or 3 more games. I think they're gonna solidify their spot in third place, but it's just tough right now that all this stuff is coming around, and Montreal is right behind them, and it just happens, man. It's just a bad time.
Yeah, man, it's just a weird way to go. I mean, hey, if you're gonna look at it like this, though, like, I mean, I'm afraid of playing McDavid. Okay. I don't want to see him multiple times in a row. I just think that you're going to get lit up and burned, and I don't want to see greatness happen. So maybe you unleash a potential Carey Price, maybe he actually shows some form and he could shut them down. And then we get our Toronto Montreal, but that's looking way too far ahead. That would be thinking that we could just get by a team in the first round. The first round is a massive checkbox. It is a huge box. And I mean, people keep talking about getting through the North Division. I hope we do, but I'll tell you right now, I hope we get a first round win.
Yep. Yeah, one thing at a time, right? You just got to hope for the best. Before we get into the games, there's one other piece of news I wanted to talk about, and I know this guy gave you nightmares at some point. Ryan Miller is retiring at the end of the season. Man, like he just like is Buffalo Sabres to me. And I
That's what
remember
I
when the
yeah.
Leafs played him, it was just like, yeah, they're gonna lose. Like it wasn't a chance.
Oh man, no, I'm with you. Like I close my eyes, I picture him in a Buffalo Sabres jersey, and I just picture him shutting us down.
Mm-hmm.
Like can't beat him. Glorious chances. How is he stopping it? He was a Leaf killer through and through, man. Like it was. You're right. Nightmares galore. I hated playing against Buffalo, and it was because Ryan Miller was in net, and it was only against the Leafs that I felt like it was like that. You know,
Oh,
like he was a stud against Toronto.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I was looking up some of his stats for today's show, and over his career, 2.64 goals against average, 914 save percentage, 44 shutouts, 794 games played, a record of 390, 289, 87. He was a fifth round selection of the Sabres. Like what a steal in the fifth round. And he won the Vezina Trophy in 2010, which was clearly the pinnacle of his hockey career, that 2010 year.
Oh, big time. If we ever do a draft show, like if we ever come up to the draft and we're doing one of these shows, man, we should look up how many, like where goalies get drafted, like the top 30 goalies in the league,
Mm-hmm.
all the starters, where did they get drafted, and just see like how how many are just absolute crapshoots. Because I feel like it would be that. I feel like so many goalies come from late round
Yep.
picks.
I think the thing is too with goalies in general, like it's the most important sport like position in hockey, clearly. But the thing is they kind of come into their own older. So a lot of GMs don't want to like quote unquote waste a first round pick on a goalie unless it's like an exceptional guy because they're not going to play for you for like 3 or 4 years.
No, that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. I mean, yeah, you don't know. Like goalies come to they come to their own at later ages.
Mhm.
Like I mean, it's so rare to see a goalie come in at 22, 21,
Mhm.
and be the stud. Like you just don't see it that often. Um, yeah, like it's neat. Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. Let's start talking some Leaf talk, man.
Sure.
Let's go into some games or something. I'm gonna follow your lead here, my man.
All right, so we have 3 games to go over since our last show. Um, they all kind of blend together for me. I don't know about you, but on Wednesday, the 28th, the Leafs beat the Canadiens 4-1, and man, with that win and the uh, Ottawa Senators beating the Vancouver Canucks earlier, the Leafs were able to clinch their playoff spot. But to me, the story of this game was the Alex Edler fight versus Wayne Simmons, and it was kind of the Leafs. It was the code, right? Like he took out
The
Hyman, so he had to step up to a fight, right?
code's alive and well in hockey, man. I mean, like there's rules that the players have to follow in the rule book and in their like as far as fines and suspensions, and then there's rules that they got to follow on the ice too. And I think that Alex Edler, like I've heard the argument of should have somebody else maybe have stepped into that fight for him. Why did Alex Edler have to go into it? Well, you
Mm-hmm.
want to know something. Hats off to Alex Edler. First career fight, 6 years old, played in the year played in the league like 15, 16 years, and gets in his first fight. And what I find it did is it's completely put an end to anything that could have boiled up in that scenario, which I thought was going to happen in this best of in this original six style kind of hockey that we've got going
Mm-hmm.
on. I thought we were going to see things boil up. I thought things were going to fester, but the way that those guys handled it actually put an end to the situation. There was no chippy plays that came after that.
I I get what you mean, man, but like he was suspended for 2 games because of that hit on Hyman, right? He lost a lot of money because of those 2 games as well. How many games would he have to be suspended for him to not have to fight?
I think that if he got suspended for 10 games or if he got suspended for 0 games, I don't think that it would have made a difference as far as what happened in regards to the code of the players.
But
I think that no, sorry, go ahead,
no,
man. You
no,
do
keep
it.
going. Finish your point. Sorry.
I just think that like the players they're going to take this matter into the fact of saying you can't do this. Like this has to be retributed. You have to know that if you go at one of our players that
Mm-hmm.
you can't do it. That like you have to stand up for yourself. And I think that he did, and hats off to him. But I think that the code would have happened regardless, man. I don't think it matters how many games he did or did not get.
So I think that fight was more about the Leafs showing the rest of the league that they're team tough than it had to do anything with what Alexander Edler did. Because we know as hockey fans, the rules in the playoffs versus the rules in the regular season are completely different. And if the rules in the regular season were the same as the playoffs, I believe the Leafs would have had more playoff success over the past few years. But that's not going to happen. So the Leafs have to change, and that's what I think that fight was about. Because when you watch that fight, clearly Wayne Simmons doesn't beat him to a pulp, and he could have.
100%. And I mean, even if Edler didn't drop his gloves, I think that he would have just tossed him around a bit. He would have, like, yeah, it wasn't. When I say it's about the code, like, I think that that's kind of part of it. Like, I think that for so long the Leafs didn't stand up for themselves, and the rest of the league knew it. And you're right. This did send a message out to the rest of the league of, you cannot do this to our guys, because we are going to. We're going to respond to it. Like you're going to have to answer a bell, and that's it. That's
like,
it.
To me, what's a shame about it is like the way the game's evolved, where we just don't have those fourth line guys that are just there to fight anymore, and we have more skill, more speed, fine. But at the same time, like Wayne Simmons, I don't need him to break his wrist over this, right? Like I want him to play. I want him to play in the playoffs. I want him to like level other guys, push them out of the way of the goalie. I want him to take his spot in front of the opposing net, and he can't do that if he breaks his wrist again.
But I mean, that's almost like saying that you're opposed to fighting entirely, because who else would you want to have fight?
See, you're not wrong there, and it's one of those things where it's the chicken or the egg, right? Like, what did I disagree with the fight? No, but I just think if something had happened to Wayne Simmons, to me, I'd be like, it was stupid. Like, why would you do that? Another thing about the Canucks is we're clearly not going to face them in the playoffs, right? Like I said, this had as little to do with the Canucks and more to do with the Leafs showing the rest of the division and the league that they're not going to be pushed around.
I agree. Let's go on to the next game. Let's go on to the next game.
Sure.
All right. So the next game we had the Canucks and the Leafs, right?
Yeah.
And surprise, we have another 4-1 win. Absolutely awesome. So the coolest thing, though, we had Muzzin, Riley, Foligno, and Campbell not dressing for the game. So it's a win for Riddick on a 4-1 win. Awesome to see him bounce back like that. There's the quarter that you wanted to put in him, man.
Yeah. I think Keith heard me, because I think that was absolutely it. Riddick, he played a great game, man. I like how the Leafs have goalies that just play completely different styles. And I think that really kind of messes with the teams that they're playing, because they just don't know what to expect. Because some guys are better with the puck, some guys aren't. Like, Riddick isn't as big of a guy as Campbell. And the thing is, when you play these teams so many times in the regular season, like this year, it's harder to get a book on a guy, I think. And especially because with Riddick, the Leafs are playing a better defensive game than previous years. So he's able to succeed compared to being in Calgary, especially this year when they didn't have a very good defense.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. The Leafs have really shored things up back there, man. Like, it's the chances are down, the shots are down. I love not seeing 40 shots on net a game. That was disgusting for years, man. And to try to justify, but we're keeping it to the outside. They're low quality chances. It's okay. Like, no, man, holy smokes, that wasn't okay. And to put a lipstick on the pig like that sucked for so long. It's wicked. Like, good job, Leafs. Way to keep it going.
So how do you feel about them resting guys? They haven't clinched the division yet, right? So it's not like they're solidified where they are. And the playoffs, like, they feel like they're around the corner, but really they're 2 weeks away. So that's a lot of time. And those guys that they arrested, like, to me, when you're resting Foligno, I'm like, don't rest him. We only have him for another, 10 games. Like, we're not going to have him after this season. Like, what the hell?
I know. And he said he rested for a couple of games already while he was in quarantine. Yeah. That one was a weird one. I couldn't really, but with all that said, like, for all we know, he may have shown up and said, all right, guys, here's my ailments, and then that's part of just this good old sports science of how do we get these guys at tip-top form. I'm okay with it. And if we had a crowd full of people, though, if there was people paying ticket prices to watch the games, I'd probably argue it a little bit differently because I don't think that I don't know. I pay to watch guys play, and it sucks to be wearing a Muzzin jersey and then not be on the ice or whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm never a fan of just rest a player, but it makes sense right now because it's not affecting any of that.
I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more, especially as we lead up to the playoffs, because this won't be the last time that they rest some players between now and then. So last night's game, a 5-1 win over the Canucks. Vancouver opened the scoring, but after that, to me, it was all Leafs. And I think the Canucks have run out of gas, man. They came out, they beat the Leafs in those first 2 games, but they've lost 4 straight since.
Well, I mean, everybody thought that they were going to come out flat because they thought they'd have nothing in the tank right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's amazing what adrenaline can do for you and to come out on an emotion and ride it. And they did that, and good for them. But you're right. That tank, I can only imagine. It seems like it's not. It seems like they're just kind of going to coast to the end here.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that they're all good, man. I hope their families are well because it wasn't very, very pleasant what they went through, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, they got to play, and the Leafs took advantage. And to me, in that game, the Leafs didn't look like sensational, but it was a systems game. Like they just relied on their systems. They kind of knew what to do based on how they practiced, and they took advantage of their opportunities. And Matthews was able to get 2 goals, which is great for him. He's getting closer and closer to 40, so that's awesome.
Getting closer and closer to getting me a 6-pack of craft beer, bud.
He is, yes, he is.
He
But
is.
that's not gonna.
We got a little side bet going.
Yeah.
Got a little side bet going. It was 43 goals or more that I thought Matthews was going to get 43, and that was kind of the bench. So that's 1 a game for 5 games left with no maintenance days. So
he's
going to get a maintenance day.
Yeah, let's get right into Matthews then, man. He's going to win the Rocket Richard, and it just sucks that there's no crowds in these games because, man, it'll be another Leaf getting a big award. Matthews was the last one to get one with Rookie of the Year, but it was like decades in between before getting these individual awards. And like we said, 38 goals, 5 games left. How many do you think he's going to get? Do you think he's going to get to 43?
I think he's going to get to 43.
Yeah.
I do. I'm sticking with it. And I mean, he might not get a goal in one of the games, but he'll get a double in another. There's no Hatties because Matty doesn't do Hatties.
No.
So I don't know. He's a stud though. He's a stud. I absolutely think it's unreal. And the Rocket Richard trophy, it's really cool. It'd be really neat to see. I think somebody stat check me, please. But this would be the very first time a Toronto Maple Leaf has ever won it.
I think you're right, man. I think if they have it, it kind of goes back to the original 6, which is too bad when you think of that.
I truly don't think that we've ever had one.
Yeah, but so how many games do you think he's going to play? Out of the 5 left, they probably only have to win 2 to clinch the division. So I think he's going to play 4, but in one of them, he's not going to play very much.
I agree. Yeah. I agree with you on that. And I mean, that makes sense to me. I was going to say 4, but I don't know. It makes sense to even play him on a limited role in one of the games. If he's in the game though, you're going to keep him rolling on the line. But yeah, 4, and he's going to sit out 1, probably like the second last game of the season kind of thing.
Well, I think those 2 games at the end of the season, they have 3 against Montreal, then they have Ottawa and Winnipeg. That Winnipeg game could literally mean nothing. Right? Like there is going to be nothing on the line. That's going to be the Toronto Marlies versus the Manitoba Moose, man. Like there aren't going to be that is a guaranteed either Dave Riddick or Michael Hutchison start, right? Like that game. So maybe throw Freddie in there if they're doing some cap gymnastics and just to get him a game. But even that game and the game against Ottawa, to me that what they're going to be going for is Matthews to get 40 if he hasn't got 40 by then, because I think that's kind of what he's got in his head. Like he wants to hit 40. And just show everyone that he is the best goal scorer in the league.
Yes, I agree. And he has that chip on his shoulder, and I love it because he doesn't do it with cockiness. He does it with swagger, and it's on all team effort stuff. And you want to know something I love about what Matthews is doing lately? It was something we were talking about there, about how Matthews and Marner are not so much Batman and Robin, but it's Batman to Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Matthews has been throwing a lot of good looks towards Marner, giving him a lot of pumping tires when he's talking about him, eh?
Yep, that's for sure. And like I said, I think he said Marner's getting overlooked. I'm like, where? Who is thinking Marner's overlooked? Like, he plays in Toronto and he's one of the best like point getters in the league. I don't think he's getting overlooked at all.
I think that it's more along the lines of I think he's just got a pulse on Marner and knows what he wants. Maybe he can feel what Marner's maybe just kind of helping him out in his psyche too. Let's make sure that the talk is going like this guy's having a stud of a year. He's in record pace for Leafland as far as greatest Leafs of all time. Like, we're watching two of the greatest Toronto Maple Leafs of all time as far as where they've gotten to so far, but they've got a long way to go. And I'm just enjoying the ride. And don't mind me if I say that they are so far, because they are. I hope to one day say that they were.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's Tim got to say about all this, man? We haven't heard from him in a while, and I think he has a little something for us today.
He dropped us a line, so here we go. Tim's saying, I'm loving the competition the Leafs have for the third and fourth lines. I guess they call that depth. It seems a switch has been flipped. There feels like there's a different mentality. I've been longing for this type of play. Bring on the playoffs. I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I am with you, but it's like, I'm sorry, you go right ahead. He gets me a little pumped sometimes.
I was gonna say, we did that bit a little while ago with like who's in, who's out. We're gonna have to do that one again and make our predict what we think are gonna be the lines in game one come the playoffs. But a lot can change between now and then because, like we were saying, they're gonna rest players, but these guys in the third and fourth line, they're gonna be rotated in and out for the rest of these games. And they might be given opportunity on the top two lines. Who knows? Maybe opportunity on the power play to see what the Leafs have.
Oh, yeah. Like, they've got depth and options. You're 100% right. Like, Brooks, man, like, where the hell did you come from? How great are you doing right now? Like he's putting on some seriously great productive minutes every time he's out there.
Yeah.
And, and Thornton, he's getting into gear. He's got that. That's why he's here. He's got that character. He's got that drive. He's got the know-how and the smarts to know that he's sitting on a team that is on the verge of something special and of something that he has dreamt of his whole career. So you want a focused group? Yes, man. Like everybody, like Jason Spezza, like the whole 9 yards. Like Galchenyuk looks great on that second line. Like, I don't know, man. And then you get Hyman coming back in too whenever the hell he's healthy.
Yep. Might have Riley Nash for the playoffs. Like, we're gonna have some pretty awesome guys to choose from. Like Peter Engvall, how far down the line has he been pushed? It's something. Even Kerfoot. To me, Kerfoot has been kind of pushed around a bit. Like, it's interesting this year because the less I hear about a guy, that means he's not playing horribly, but that also means he's not playing very well. Which is okay, I guess. Like, you can't. Everyone's not going to score. Like, there just isn't enough puck for that. And the fact is, in the playoffs, you need your best guys to be the best guys. The Leafs aren't going to win a cup this year if Thornton, Spezza, and Simmons are leading them in playoff scoring.
No, we'll win a cup if we have them getting out there able to shut down somebody else's line, so that it grinds down that team. And if the puck goes in like it's been going in, bonus. But you're damn right. We need our guys to shine, and I have no reason to think that they're not ready to do it, man.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the Leafs winning the cup, man, we've got to get to this day in hockey history. 1967. The Toronto Maple Leafs became the first team with an average age of 30 or older to win the Stanley Cup when they defeat the Canadiens 3-1 at Maple Leaf Gardens in Game 6 of the final. It was the last Stanley Cup award during the original Six era. I'm pretty sure that day lives in infamy now for all Leaf fans.
That's too funny. The first team to win it with an average age of over 30. Like, it's as if it was the last hurrah.
Yeah.
Like, holy smokes. Didn't know it was going to last this long, but yeah, I guess people remember that date. Like,
Oh
I
my
was looking
god.
at a pizza box. I bought a pizza from Pizza the other day, and it says established in 1967. And I thought to myself, let's start a Reddit movement to shut down Pizza. They're the
I know.
curse. They're the ones that have done it. They got to get out of the building. We can't be associated. Get their name off the boards.
It is just something because like that's what 54 years ago or something like that. Like good God, man, like that's a long time. It's just so hard to imagine they haven't even made a final since '67. Like that's 54 years, and those first few years when they expanded it to 12 teams, the Leafs should have made a final. Those other six teams weren't very good. Like they could have pushed their way through. I don't know what the hell happened. Like clearly, it, things just didn't go their way. There was all these jokes started. There's always next year. The Ballard years came. It's just nuts. And you know that whenever the Leafs win the Stanley Cup next time, that's got Disney movie written all over it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100% it does, man. I got to tell you, though, I got to tell you real quick. You said Ballard. Just really triggered a memory or thought. I heard something really neat about Ballard. And for all the negative stuff that you hear and anything that you hear about the bunker, Ballard's bunker and all this stuff, um, if you were on the Leafs at the end of the season as a bonus, he would give you a trip for 2 weeks anywhere around the world to every player on the team. That's just a little added bonus. I just thought that was kind of something neat.
I don't believe that. I'm gonna have to look into that because I really don't. He was the cheapest man ever, man. Like it, you know.
Prove me wrong, man. Prove me wrong. That was mind blowing.
Yeah, he didn't want to put names on the back of the jersey because it cost too much money. Like he just wanted numbers. Like that's how cheap this guy was. You know, I'm pretty sure if it was up to him, he would have left chicken wire up on the boards instead of glass because it was cheaper, right? Like it's. I call shenanigans on that. I'm going to look that one up, and we'll talk about that in our next show, because everything I've heard about him is he was the cheapest, meanest SOB. I did hear, though, that he was just entertaining as hell if you weren't a Leaf fan, just to watch what was going on with the Leafs during the Ballard era.
Well, one of the comments that he made about his own players, it was, I can't remember who it was. It was a European player that was on the team at the time. And I remember him saying, like, I guess he was known to be soft. You know, he didn't play hard at all. And it's the best quote, because he said, he's the only guy that I know that could go into the corner in the NHL with a dozen eggs and come out of that corner with a dozen eggs all intact. You know, and he said it about his own player. I was like, holy smokes. But yeah, no, he was he was a hell of an owner, wasn't he? Didn't bring any success to the damn team, I'll tell you that.
I'm happy I wasn't old enough to really be a Giant fan then when he was running things, but they're just legendary, you know, the things that he would do and say. And I'm gonna look that up because, like, that to me, I just don't believe it, man. Like, he was the cheapest guy alive. Like, it just no.
I look forward to you starting the segment on the next show about how Ballard sent these guys around. Okay, we'll find a story about one of their trips. How about that?
That sounds good, man. Well, speaking of our next show, I think that wraps up this show. Unless you got anything else you want. Oh wait, I'm a dummy. Let's go into the games versus the Canadiens. So they got 3 against the Canadiens this week. Between now and our next show, they'll probably play 2 of them. How do you think this is going to go?
Well, I think that the Leafs are going to be a confident group. I think that Jack Campbell, I think that we have to play hard just because it's pretty important for his psyche. I don't know if we've noticed, but he takes things pretty hard, and he also takes wins like it's the biggest achievement of ever, you know? So I think that it's important that we're going to be playing some good hockey just to keep the positive vibes flowing through our whole team, including our netminder. So I think that we'll play some hockey that's going to be solid here. And I think that the Winnipeg Jets are going to be Toronto Maple Leaf fans for the next little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. I know I was looking at the stats, and if the Leafs win one of these 3 games, they've officially beaten the Canadiens in the season series, which would mean the Leafs have beaten everybody in the season series this year, which is pretty amazing to think, but I guess that makes sense. They're winning the division. About Campbell, what I think is he hasn't played well in a loss this year. And I think that has a lot to do with his confidence. Like when he loses a game this year again, if he plays well, I wonder what his psyche would be. Because sometimes you just get beat, man. Sometimes, like, there's goals that we say it all the time, like the goalie had no shot. and he's let in some bad goals in his losses. So I think that would almost help him if he loses a game where he did play well.
The goal support's been enormous for him too.
Yeah.
I mean, like enormous. So like in a 2-1 loss, you're right. I would love to hear the post-game presser on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and one that he loses where he's made 38 saves. But
Sure.
but again, we don't have a team that takes 40 shots anymore. Thank God. But yeah, I don't know. I think that we've got good games coming up. It's going to be some rested players. I don't think that we're going to see intense games. It's not going to be sit on the edge of the seat games, unfortunately. I was hoping for them. But I think that these games are more about keep yourself healthy, get your systems in check, and work on the power play if you get on it. Work on the penalty kill structure too. The specialty teams they have to be a focus. They have to because they make or break teams in the playoffs. And I mean, that's what I'll be watching, is seeing, and when we're on that, how do they look?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting this season because the rest of these games, if the Leafs win 3 more games as of today, they clinch the division. That's only if the Oilers run the table though. So I would say like at least if the Leafs win 2 games, they'll win the division. And then with that said, like who knows how many guys are going to rest? And you talk about working on things like the power play and like how much can you work? So we'll definitely get into that in our later shows. But like I was saying before, I think that wraps it up this time. Unless you got anything else you want to add before we get going.
No, man. I just want to say that you rock, man. Thanks for putting it together again, Wes. You're the champ.
Oh, man, my pleasure. If you like what you see and what you hear, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. We have an Instagram account as well. I'm going to put that on our Twitter account in case you want to follow us there. But hey, like we always say, go Leafs go.